You can't make this stuff up. Today, we've got a show that we're going to be dealing with wealth redistribution. That's right, wealth redistribution. And I believe it's a big problem for America today. So I have a question for you, my audience. How many of you believe you are middle class? Now, I don't want to talk your income. I just want to know, how many of you feel like you're middle class? How many of you believe you're poor, that you're in the lower class? Okay? And how many of you believe you're rich or even very rich, top 20%, top 1%? That's a pretty exclusive club. Okay, well, a lot of this has to deal with how wealth has been distributed over the years in the United States. We're now watching the greatest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. Now, what I'm talking about when I talk wealth transfer is money being sucked up from the bottom 50, 55, 60% of America and sucked up to the top 5%, 3%, 1%, 0.01%. That's a pretty exclusive club. Okay, so how many of you believe you're poor is based on maybe how much money you have to spend? Now, after COVID, 2020, and after that, the United States witnessed the greatest wealth transfer of all time. Okay, it's the elephant in the room in America. See, the problem with Americans is we think short term. Now, I know people are planning for their retirement, and not everybody can do that, but there's a lot, and they have their 401ks and their investments. But as a country, we really generally don't look farther than the next president, the next year, the next switch of Congress, because we rely on these people to help us. Well, they're not. I digress. Take a look at China. China looks forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Their plan is long term. They play long game. We play the short run. So what we've had here is a collapse of our system. You can't really notice it all the time. You can't. Now, people try to quantify this, and it's really hard to do. But after the 2020 pandemic, there was an elephant in the room that no one wanted to talk about, okay? And that elephant had to do with inequality. How much money was transferred away from the middle class. Now, from this Time article I have here, it says, this elephant we're talking about, the elephant in the room is the extreme income inequality in this country. How big is the elephant? It's a staggering $50 trillion. This is how much the upward redistribution of income has cost American workers over the past several decades. What does this mean for you? This means that you probably aren't making anywhere near what you should be making. And I say that because most people aren't. Wages really don't keep up with cost of living. Not really. And as I mentioned here to my wife just a while ago, I just got my form for my health insurance. I'm retired. Semi-retired. See, I work because things are pretty expensive and I have to work. My wife still works. Part-time as it be, but it's still work. And other people are doing the same. Some holding 3 and 4 jobs down. Many people who are seniors are working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. Things are very expensive. And I got this form, and what the form is how much Medicare paid for my health care, okay? My care that paid for by the government is taxable. And they give you a list of how much you spend each month, what they put into your little fund, and I will pay taxes on that. I got my car registrations. I didn't look at the price. I'm sure it's the same, but I know that many states prices are going up if you do indeed register your car. Inspections for your car go up. If you change your oil regularly, like I do, those prices have gone up. Taxes, local, state, and federal, all have gone up. Yes, in one form or another. Go down the list of things we pay outside of just day-to-day living expenses, going to the store, buying fuel. These are things that are important to consider when we talk about how people live. And while that's happening, we cannot keep up with the cost of everything. It isn't just about the cost of eggs like they tell you with the CPI, the inflation rate. Well, it's not just the cost of eggs, not just the cost of fuel. It's the cost of everything. And more people are falling behind. But the study shows here in an opinion piece from Common Dreams, It's a $2.5 trillion theft. Study shows richest 1% of Americans have taken $50 trillion from bottom 90% in recent decades. The median U.S. worker's salary would be around twice as high today if wages kept pace with the economic outpoint since World War II, new research revealed. Okay, so let's look at that really quick. Since basically World War II, 1945, 1946, people's wages actually kept up and went ahead. And if you remember, or if you watched any programming or studied history, you'll know that somewhere in the 60s, late 50s, 60s, women had to start hitting the job force, in the job market. Now, they didn't necessarily have to before that, but cost of living started going up. Our wages did not keep up with the cost of everything else. We started getting ahead of ourselves in debt. What happens? Okay, so you work 2 jobs and you still can't make ends meet. Guess what came into play then? Oh, credit cards, debt. We now live in a debt-based economy, and the current president will not be able to handle or change that. It's not going to happen. It's a debt-based economy by design. So you need to make up the difference in your income. You use a credit card. You take a loan out on your house. You take a personal loan. Now they have payday loans. They have things on the internet like Affirm, where you want to buy something from Amazon, you can break it down into 4, 5, 6, 8 easy payments, 30-some% interest. But we have to pay these things back because, you see, we live in a debt-based society. We're not keeping up with the cost of living, with how much it costs to live in general. Not just the price of eggs, but the price of everything. And the more things that start costing you, that didn't maybe cost you much 10, 15 years ago, we're now getting hammered. And the rich of the rich of the rich, you know who they are: Bezos, Musk, Bill Gates. Go down the list. These are the richest of the rich. These people have ways of sucking up the incomes of people from the bottom. They have ways of draining the money from the middle class. Not just them. They're my example. So how do we even handle this? How do we go there? We have it that one person can make more than 1,000 people. It's ridiculous. I mean, we have to somehow even this out. Now, people don't like it. People don't want to hear that. America is out of balance. It can't stay this way. Now, the problem is many people who are in this middle class, many people who actually fall into this category of being destroyed by this wealth transfer upward, support it because they don't know any better. They support rich people and say, well, they should not pay taxes because they deserve what they have. Well, guess what? Back in post-World War II, people paid their fair share. Rich companies and people paid their fair share, and it helped everybody. That's the idea of America. But now we're moving away from it. In this country, we began to despise people who are poor, people who can't make ends meet, people who need help, need assistance. We began calling them a drain on our society. But here's the thing. I look at it this way, and I've always looked at it this way. As a conservative Christian, I believe this. That's our place in this society. We have a lot. Put your hand out to help. Rich people should be taxed. They were after 1945. They paid a heavy share of the tax, and they survived and still made money. But today, the people that you would think would be for helping the poor, for helping the middle class, are against it. People within the middle class have voted against their own self-interests. Why? Because we've been blinded. We've been told for so many years that getting to the top is all about stepping on somebody else. Yeah, you may not have been told exactly that, but that's what's happened. Knock the old poor guy off the boat. He doesn't deserve to be there. But by the grace of God, we all have what we have. So wealth redistribution is a crime. It is. It's a theft because we have not allowed the government or forced the government to make these people pay their fair share. Now, maybe you disagree. That's fine. Tell me in the comments. The bottom line is I disagree with many conservatives, many right-wing people. As a conservative Christian, I disagree with the thought processes of these people. You can't get rid of people just because they're from another country if they're a benefit to your country. This will cause problems if you rock that boat. So I want to go over this one last article really quick. The wealthiest 1% have taken $50 trillion from working Americans and redistributed, a new study finds. So this goes to how we pay people, minimum wage. There's a battle over minimum wage. $8.25 an hour, I think, is with some minimum wages. I believe it was $7.25 for a while. Listen, that hasn't gone up in decades. That's ridiculous. But you people out there, middle class people, condemn people who want a little more from their job. It should be a little more. Go work on your feet in McDonald's for 5 hours. See how you like it. People coming through the drive-thru one after another. Go work those jobs and see if that's worth $7.25, $8.25 to you. Living wage is important. We should pay. It's not like we don't have it. $50 trillion were taken away from the middle class. It's not like it's not there. Bring it back to where it needs to be. That's not socialism. That's not communism. That's not liberalism. That's having a heart for your brother, for your neighbor, no matter who they are. And we've gotten away from that. We've looked up to oligarchs now and put them on pedestals. It's time to bring them back down. It's time to have a hand out for your brother and sister, your neighbor, your country. That's what grows strength in the country. That's what heals division. Right now, at this rate of redistribution, it's all going to fall apart at one point or another anyway. It's time for me and you to act, to stand up for those who can't stand for themselves, to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, and understand what it's like to be impoverished, to be living on the fringes of society, to bring these people back home. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. A lot of new people have come on and watched my videos. Please stay with us. Please subscribe, like, and share. Help us grow. We want to reach people with a good message, with the message from the heart, a message for this country to heal. And I thank you for watching. I'll see you next time right here on The David Tomsic Show.